The sound
This
engineer.
is just talking, by the way.
We have the sound engineer at the
yeah,
back.
we have the sound engineer who's part of the podcast. His name is Jeffrey Obonyo. Hey guys, welcome back to Noz'spodcast podcast with your host Melissa. I know you are hearing a lot of silence. Yes, Mimo is not with us for now. She's taken a break for a while. So I will be taking you through today's episode, and we are joined with a special guest of mine, Dan. Dan will introduce himself. He is a photographer, and I think I'll let you just continue from there.
Hey guys, this is Dan the photographer. My official brand is Studio 44. So I mostly specialize in portrait photography, but I do all kinds of photography.
Weddings, he does weddings, events,
many events. But I love doing portraits, portrait work. Mostly. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for joining us and taking the time, because I know it's busy. It's been a busy day for you. You started off today with such a mess.
The day has been basically up and down.
Yeah, I remember you calling me in the morning, you know, saying my client, is asking for the photos.
Yes, I had a photo shoot last night. It was an event. It's called the Foyer Awards. It's an event that recognizes entrepreneurs from under 30 and over 30. So from real estate to agriculture to like what we do, like
right.
So people from like media and all of those. So it's basically an award for the whole of Africa. So it's called Foyer Awards Africa.
Okay.
So actually there were many contestants from all over Africa.
Right.
Many from Nigeria, Zambia,
Right.
Yeah.
And you got the privilege of covering that.
We had a few winners, like
from
for
Kenya.
Real estate
in
Kenya, for whole of Africa.
That's amazing. Yes. Representing.
Yes, it was a great event. It was challenging on my side to shoot because we're shooting in darkness.
The lighting, imagine.
The lighting was terrible.
By the way, shooting indoors, for those new photographers, you really need to have it
on point.
You have to be on your A game.
Yeah.
I was telling him, why don't you get a softbox? And I remembered those things are heavy to carry. I remember shooting a wedding and I had to carry the it was this big, not the heavy ones, but I'm telling you, by the end of the day, my hands they were not mine anymore. So I can understand.
I can remember the first time I used the softbox. I had shot for a client for it was a small event. Then one of the guests who was at the event saw the photos, and then he said, Dan, I need you to be at my wedding. I've paid for everyone. I've paid for the photographers. I've paid for everything, but I need you there because I've seen the photos. So now the client has such high expectations of me. So I'm like,
imagine.
And this is the first time I'm doing a wedding. I've never done a wedding on my own. So I'm thinking I need to get a softbox. So I went and got one, and that had challenges of its own.
Right.
Because I had to go and collect that softbox pale Nyayo Stadium in the morning.
Okay.
In the morning, and I'm going all the way to Syokimau. So it was really hectic, and I don't know how to use this thing. And it was really heavy. Yeah, so good thing the photographer was there. He was experienced, so he was like, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll help you set it up. I'll show you what to do. So actually that is what saved me, and I actually did my first shoot with a softbox. But that's like a baptism of fire, because like when you want to learn about lighting and all that, you start small. You do like I shoot here, I shoot there. You have someone,
and we shall go to that. Let me interrupt you.
Okay.
I would love for our listeners to know more about you and how you started off in photography before we go into the nitty-gritties.
Okay.
So I'd like you to start with, how did you begin with photography? How did you get into it? And let's start there.
Let me take you vividly to the end of 2016. So basically December of 2016. So my friend was graduating from law school I think he did the bar exam and all that, so now he wants to be a lawyer. And then he knew that I had a camera, but I wasn't like shooting anything. My brother had just gone to Mombasa, so he had bought a camera. Then he came back with it. So that is the only time that he ever needed it. So now I used to have it all the time. So,
Yeah.
so like if you're meeting, I have a camera in my hand. If you're going for lunch, I have a
Yeah.
camera in my hand. But I'm not really doing like photography. I'm just like taking a photo like with my phone. He told me, Dan, come to my graduation and take photos. That was the first ever client that I ever got. It was my friend in graduation. So I had no idea of what to do because I only have, like the base camera kit, and I don't even have a speed light, nothing.
Was it the point and shoot type of camera or like the DSLR?
No. It was a Nikon D3200. So it was semi-professional. Okay, not professional, but enthusiast kind of camera.
Right.
So I get there, I take photos, I'm enjoying. Battery dies, which was a hard lesson to learn. Then I don't even know how to edit photos. I had no idea because I used to shoot in JPEG.
Okay.
Yeah. So now this time I had looked up that you need to shoot RAW. So I shot RAW and I don't know what to do with these files. I put them in Photoshop, not even Lightroom, and I edit them and send them. So feedback came back from other people who were there who I also knew, and they're like, those photos are terrible. That's the honest feedback that I got.
We can call it constructive criticism.
That lit a fire under my belly.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Okay.
In a good way.
Okay.
Because you don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
So when I was told that these photos are terrible, I asked myself, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to be better than this? So I went to YouTube University to learn about what do I need to do to make my photos better. So I from where I was to what I was seeing people doing on YouTube, I'm like, how will I even get there?
Right.
That seems like a huge amount, because if I tried doing on those photos, what these guys are doing, I'm like, it's just coming out to be a mess. So I thought to myself, this is a challenge, but let me do it. Let me try. So the next year, the whole of 2017, I'm just getting used to the photography and all that.
Getting into the
just
whole
getting
game.
into it.
Yeah.
Then 2018 is when I really started now getting clients. So that's when now I started picking up momentum from clients. From the one client refers me to another one, like that. And that's how it grew. And up to today, I am still learning. I am still learning till today. So it's keep saying
an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing process. It's a learning process.
Right.
I would never say, like, in the creative field that you know everything.
It's always learning.
It's always time. You'll always get to know something new, and I always see something different all the time.
Yeah.
So that is basically how I started.
And forgive me for veering off a bit, but there was a point I know photography was not your first choice as a career.
Yes.
Could you kindly explain more about that?
So photography wasn't my first career choice. My first career choice was actually medical microbiology and biotechnology. So that's what I went to college and got a degree for. After I graduated, I got a job. I got a job in a medical lab. It was a bit monotonous. Basically, that whole environment was very monotonous because I used to work in a medical lab that dealt with helping kids with HIV. So dealing with that and the dangers of that, of dealing with blood, and doing it every day, it kind of wore me out. Because of doing it every day. And then there's an incident that happened when I was cleaning up the lab and taking the garbage out, and then it traumatized me. It was a garbage bag that I was carrying to the incinerator. Naikaniguaruza. And it has a lot of vials of blood and all that. I resigned, and it was in the morning. I just went and drafted my resignation letter, and I called it quits. I didn't care whether I have a salary.
You dropped everything.
That was it. Yeah. That's what pushed me over the edge. Like, this job is already boring and all that. And then now when I got into photography, because you're your own boss and you're a creative, so every single time that you are shooting, it's different. So if you told me to go back to a lab right now, I would find it extremely difficult. It would be extremely difficult to be first employed and then doing the monotony of the same job every single hour. You're doing the same thing over and over and over.
And I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of creatives in this field would attest to that. I feel like as much as we'd like to say having an office job is quite fulfilling to a certain level, but there's a lot of monotony to it. And I get that.
Yeah.
And which now, giving me your backstory brings me to the main topic of the day. The reason why I brought you here today was to help me, or rather give your input on some of the myths on starting a photography career, especially for the newbies, the ones who've just started, they've gotten their first camera like you did. And as I feel, for me personally, as a photographer myself, fell for some of these myths that I was told by photographers who had gone before me, and YouTube University, as you say, watching these videos. And so I'd like to begin with the first one. I've written a set of, can I call them flashcards?
Yes,
I'll
they
call
are
them flashcards. So let us begin. So the first one is, high-end cameras are always better. I got to understand to some certain point, high-end cameras are not bad, especially given that the jobs that you are going to do in the future, they are not bad, given that high-end cameras do have a more added advantage as opposed to just the entry-level cameras. But in this case, not for newbies, because number one, they have complex buttons. To understand how to, like even for me personally, like when I went to school to learn, photography and all, I was given this huge camera. I didn't know what to do with it. I was just given this huge camera with a big lens, and I was still go and shoot something. I'm telling you, I spent hours just trying to figure out how to click that button. So anything to add?
What I will say about basically, let's call it equipment. It's a tool. So like a farmer will have the tools, right? Akona jembe, akona, and the next farmer has a tractor. Big flashy tractor. I have my small garden tools. We are planting maize. We will get the same results, in a different way. So it's how I use the tools. So basically, having the equipment, it's good to have. So it's good to have the big tractor. It makes your work easier, since a tool is there to make your work easier, right? Yeah, but it doesn't mean that I have to go and spend thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands on equipment, and I'm just starting. You see, because you have to look at it this way. I'm just starting, and I want to grow, but then I need the income to start generating itself, right? Because like a photographer, this is basically after everything, after the hobby and all that, it's a business at the end of the day, right?
You're right. Yeah.
And you want to start growing it, and you can start growing a business. You can grow a business from the top of the mountain, right? You grow it.
You start from the
and you start developing it. So so that you can have a focus that the top of the mountain is where you want to be. So you want to have all the flashy equipment, the multi-million shillings equipment and all that. But when you're just starting, you want to start building other things that are also equally as important, like your client base and all that. So when someone tells you that you need this big flashy camera, you need this big flashy lens and all of this. They
call it glass, by the way.
Yeah, glass.
Lens, when you go out there,
glass,
newbies, ukisikia glass, especially when it comes to cameras, just know it's a lens. Yes. Yeah.
So when now you seek advice from someone who is established himself or herself, and then they tell you that you need these ABCD, and then when you go and look up how much all of these things cost, you're like, it's like almost 1 million shillings. And you barely have enough for like buying just the camera and the lens.
And let me tell you, photography is expensive.
Yes, it is. It is very expensive.
So even to buy the high-end cameras,
And
is a
yes,
bargain.
and actually I was having a meeting yesterday in the morning, and we actually realized that yes, photography is expensive, but when you go into video,
Oh
you,
my
you, you,
goodness.
your hopes will just die.
Hey, yeah,
Your
you
hopes will die.
utakufa moyo.
Because the guy that
Trust.
we were discussing with, we work with him. He does a lot of production. He's on production sets like for KCB adverts and all that. So he sees behind the scenes of the equipment that they use, and he has pretty good equipment himself.
Right.
But he tells me the kind of equipment that you see there,
You'd get intimidated.
you
I
get
know.
intimidated. You're like, I could touch that glass, and if it falls,
That's it.
they will take my car. They'll repossess it.
Yeah, that
'Cause-
wouldn't even be enough.
Yeah.
You'd have to take something else.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So when you're starting out, and someone tells you that you need so many things so that you can establish yourself, that is a big lie, because at the end of the day, you are the photographer, not the camera, because the camera can't go to the event or whatever and do the work on its own. You are the one who has the skill to use it to make the photos and or the videos or whatever you're doing zitokee kwa client vile anafurahia.
Yeah.
So I would say the tools, the equipment and all that, they're useful, but it is not, it shouldn't be a clutch that I can do this because I don't have the big stuff. Use your skill.
Oh yeah,
So-
and by the way, for those who are intermediate, you can also hire. There's that option, because
Yes.
sometimes people tend to, as much as I'd like to say that high-end cameras are, always better and they're preferred, it can be expensive, but at the same time, like if it's a wedding and you have these top-tier clients that you
Yeah.
want to please,
Yeah.
there's a certain lens that you need in order to shoot that certain aesthetic they're
Yeah.
looking for. Because sometimes they can approach you with an aesthetic that they want, and that there's a certain lens that's needed and there's a certain camera that can accomplish that.
Yeah.
So yes, there are times that you find that it's necessary, and that's why I say you can hire.
At the end of the day, you are the photographer. You have the skill. So all of that knowledge of the client wants it to look like, it's all in your head. It's not in the camera. So you are the one who will use whatever equipment that you have. So ato ukikosa hiyo lens, that prime lens that you want that can shoot, whatever. If you don't have that, use what you have.
There's something you mentioned. You are your own boss.
Yes.
And sorry to say, Dan, I would like to call that a myth to a certain level.
Okay.
I didn't want to say it earlier because I didn't want to spoil the story, guys.
Okay.
But I do believe, personally for me, it's a myth to a certain point. Because everything here we're mentioning it's not like, stamp there, like it's a myth and it's just like that. It shouldn't be like that. When I talk about it being a myth, sometimes you find that even you personally, you have to run according to your client's schedule.
Yes.
You're not always having that point where you can say, this is the time I want to edit and this is the time I'll give it to you all the time.
Yes.
And I remember there was a point where I was doing a shoot and these photos were needed, in fact, that day. And there was a lot of things I had to do that day because I had planned, I'd take the photos, I do the event and then come back and edit and then give it the next day. But the client was like, we need these photos today so we can post on social media. Yeah. So you find you've chewed into half of your schedule and you cannot always dictate most of the time. So you I don't think you should, or what do you think?
Okay. I still stand by what I said.
Okay.
I still stand by it.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. I feel like you answer to the client, but you're not employed by someone. When I say that you're your own boss, you're the one who knows how you're making your money. So you're the one who will even quote to the client.
Oh yeah, for sure. When it comes to that, yeah.
Exactly. So that is why I say you're your own boss. But the client, at the end of the client satisfaction is everything, right? So when the client says that they want their photos, like as we are sitting here right now making this podcast, I have 1,500 photos that are needed in the next 5 hours.
And you have to edit all of them.
And I have to edit them. Yeah. So when the podcast is over,
that needs to be done ASAP. I know you are thinking, I'll take my time and edit, and then I'll give probably like another day. But I get that.
Yeah, because I was actually called in the morning, and the client said that he actually asked me, those photos, how are they coming? I'm like, I've edited like a few photos I can send you, so that you can just pause. Like, no, I need them right now, all of them. I have like a lot of photos because it was it's a prize giving event, so you're taking millions of photos.
For sure.
Because that's another thing when I was shooting. Like if I'm doing like a slow-paced event, I'm shooting one photo, then I look at it, then another one. This one, it was a red carpet event, so you have to take a lot of photos.
Yeah.
And thank goodness I did that, because as I was reviewing them in the morning, mwingine mtu ameangalia hivyo, amefunga macho, akona pose ingine, so I have
blood.
Exactly, hajashika focus, and then ukikosa hiyo utaulizwa what happened to this photo of this guest. Yeah, so I was thinking like, so now you see vile niko na kazi mingi. Yeah, but at the end of the day, client satisfaction is everything. So you try your best to fulfill what the client wants, because ni anakulipa.
Yeah.
But it's not someone else who is hiring you anakwambia your salary at the end of the month is such and such. You're the one who's getting your own clients. You're the one who's sending your invoice to the client or however much you charge them. So I wouldn't say it's a myth. I would say you are your own boss, as in you dictate what kind of work that you want to do, and the clients that you're working with, and your rates and all that. So yeah.
To a certain point.
To a certain point. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Then I can accept that.
Okay.
But maybe leave, like, for my personal experience, I feel like you can't always be in control of what you're doing.
Sure.
But I feel it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
And it depends on, there are some constants, like you dictate your salary and what you earn.
Yeah.
And whatever else it is, Yeah, that one for sure.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the next myth. And I want your opinion on this.
Okay.
Underpricing undercuts other photographers. Meaning, if you charge lower, mtu akicharge lower on a certain, like, let's say a client posts an ad, like they want a photographer for their event, let's say a birthday shoot, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, many photographers come in and like show their work and like, this is the amount I charge, and then you find this one person, like, let's say most of them have price like what, 30K, right?
Yeah.
You find this one person saying, okay, I'll do it for like what, 10K, or let's just say 5K.
Let's say 5, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen crazier, like 5K for, okay, anyways.
Yeah.
And everyone is like,
yo,
why would you do that? Why are you undervaluing? Because what they assume, or rather what the photographers assume, is that once una charge mtu hiyo 10K, kila mtu atangalia, now the client will base everything on that price.
Yes.
And I do believe to a certain level it may affect, but at the same time, pricing your work will depend on your skill level and your brand, what you and what exactly the job entails. Kuna place where sometimes you feel like ukianza you must charge this amount. Like, you go into the market and you're like, okay, how much should I charge for portrait? Let's say like fashion photography. Like, how much should I charge for portrait? And you find someone charging like 10K, a photographer charging 10K for a shoot, and someone else is charging, like 20K, 30K. And you're there, you're just a beginner, and you're like, this is how much I want to charge. But then again, you have to look at your skill level. Are you giving the client exactly what you're charging them? And I do believe low prices will, most of the time, it's good not to overvalue yourself if you know your skill level is not there yet. And I do believe that at some point you can reach that price level where other photographers, you can say, now I can charge this much. But at the end of the day, low pricing is not bad to a certain point where it comes to now, if you know what you're giving the person. Or what do you think?
What I think is there are some photographers who will just chase the money and not the value of what they're giving.
Yeah.
the client. So it's like, as long as I'm making this money, then I'm good. So like that example that you have given about the standard would be about 30K, and then someone comes in at one third of the price, and that will now it a rebu market. Because now if that client comes back and looks for someone else, and then they are told 30, 40, 50,000, it's like, hey, why is so expensive? I know someone who can do it for less.
Yeah.
You need to value what you're doing. Value is everything. Because I know someone who I actually talked to for a very lengthy period of time, and I told him, by the way, because he was doing a certain event, and he was undercharging. I was feeling like it was too much work
Yeah.
for so little,
yeah.
like
Itakuuma
so
sana.
little money. You go to
Yeah.
Machakos, you go
Yeah.
and do that whole job, and you're doing it all the time,
Yeah.
and then you're paying. You tell your client, you just pay me 5K, and then from the 5K, the client was telling him, chakula will be from that costs. Like, I'm going to charge you, so ukikula chakula ya hapa nitakulipisha.
Yeah.
Nitakata kutoka hapo.
Yeah,
It was something that was actually happening.
Yeah. I think that's now where it comes in, which proves my point.
Yeah.
Where, yes, sometimes charging lower
Yeah.
makes clients ignorant to the actual cost
Yeah.
of doing the job.
Yeah.
So it's not always written plain on paper that pricing should be this. Pricing actually should be based on exactly what you're offering.
Yeah.
Skill-wise
Your
and
skill.
the
It's
job
true.
requirements.
It's true, because I was telling him, the kind of work that you do, because it's in the automotive industry, there's no way I can do that. Like, I'm a photographer just like you, but what you do, because if I was doing that work, I would charge like 25,000. You're charging 5. I would charge that, but if the client calls me, I would have to decline the job, because there's no way I would deliver the same kind of work that you do, because what you do specifically, because I think he's concentrated more on the automotive industry and bikes and cars and all that.
Yeah.
And I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
So by that's another thing. Don't take a job that you know you can deliver on.
That's most important, by the way,
Yeah.
guys. Even though you're trying to get out there and look for, work,
Yeah.
don't take work that you like. Be honest to yourself and the client. It actually helps with your reputation
Yeah.
and your brand
Yeah,
in general.
like an example of a real world example. You called me another time and told me that you want for photos for real estate,
Right.
and I have a camera,
Yeah.
right? But did I say that I would take that job?
No, actually, you referred me to someone who'd help.
Exactly, because I know someone who can do that job perfectly. Because
Yeah.
yes, I would say that I would take the job and make some money, but the client will not be happy about it.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
it would actually affect generally
Yeah.
the whole, trust issue. Like, would we be trusted upon to help them? Yeah.
Exactly. But when I referred that work, whether he did the work or not, I know that his job is his work is very good on real estate. So going back to that point of undercharging, when I told him that he's undercharging, sit down with your client, speak about a contract. If it's a long term kind of work that you'll be doing over and over and over again, whether you can have a contract, whether it'll be for products or whatever you'll be doing.
Contracts are important, guys, by the way.
Incredibly,
Yeah.
I will say there's a job we did and we were never paid because there was no contract.
Yeah, so contracts are
Oh, yeah.
important. Carry on. That was a segue, yeah.
Nice segue.
Carry on.
Yeah, so it's very important
Yeah.
that you build a trust with the client, and they know that you charge this, and you know that you can deliver something that is worth how much you're charging, also because you know that your skill level is right up there.
Up to par, yeah. Industry level.
Yeah, because you might be charging 30K and you just have a point and shoot. So the client will be like, why am I spending so much money on just on rubbish photos or whatever? Yeah.
Again, there are some, let's just be honest, there are some clients who actually don't really care much about quality. Quality in that, let's just say Vogue type of photos.
Yeah.
The one that are clean cut, retouching is A1. some clients don't really care much about that. So you find it doesn't really matter. Like, as a photographer, you're subject to a certain level of quality.
Yeah.
Like, you are your worst critic when it comes to quality.
Yes.
But you find even when you're giving the client the photo that they're asking for as per their requirements, they really don't mind this. Those type of clients don't really mind
there
that
are those
quality.
There are those, and I think you know about a certain client of mine. So if I'm doing portraits, I usually know that I'm going to charge more because of retouching. And then when I'm charging, I put an extra premium on over and above what I usually charge, because I know of the hassle factor. The hassle factor, like the client will be like, no, that photo needs to be retouched here and here and here.
Repetitions, by the way, you guys should charge for. You should look for that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
you should look onto that.
Yeah. So like when you're doing portraits and just repeating work and all that. So especially if you have those picky clients.
Yes.
So you need to know how to charge, because
Yeah.
you can undercharge and then the client is just taking you back to the same old work, repeating it over and
taking
over
advantage
and over.
of the fact that, because let's just be honest, some clients actually do their research on photography, that specific photography niche or whatever you can call it, and they actually know the pricing. So if you underprice them, they will hawataongea. They will just make sure that they have run you dry. They are those type of clients. Not everyone is like that, but they are those type of clients. Yeah. Right. So we can move on to the next one.
Yes, we can.
Which is pro photographers have it all figured out.
Oh,
this one I know will touch some nerves, but let me explain.
Okay.
Not always. In this sense, pro photographers can know less than amateurs. I can explain.
Okay.
Amateurs may be better when it comes to not just skill level. We can say, as you progress, you can change your title as intermediate, whatever, based on your skill level. But at the same time, there are some certain ways. Photography is not a one-way, street. There are some certain things that an amateur photographer can take, certain photos that tend to have a better outlook. Because photography is an art. There's no one way to do art. And you can find that someone who is beginning to do photography, they have a certain way of doing things that appeals to a clientele that maybe a pro photographer, may seem as very, how do you say, naive. So even when it comes to business acumen, which I will talk about in the last point, business acumen, you can find an amateur having more skills when it comes to reaching out to the client and marketing themselves, as opposed to a pro photographer. Maybe the only thing that is different when it comes to that is how much they'd get paid, because the amateur may be paid less, because they're still trying to build their skills, as opposed to a pro photographer who may have developed and charge more because of their skill level and their branding.
Branding is also a huge part of it.
Exactly. That has been there for years for the pro photographer. So I do, I know it touched a nerve.
It's going to touch many nerves.
Because Danny is a pro photographer. But I just had to say it. I do think photography is an art, and I do believe there's so many ways to go about it.
I also believe that. I believe that there's no one way of doing that, especially in the arts. There could be many kind of ways of doing something, and the end goal would be the same. So like I wouldn't say an amateur, but someone who's just, let's say, casual photographer. Let's say, like, for portraits, there's a pro photographer who would overcomplicate the whole process, and there's someone who would make it very simple, very very appealing to the client, and the result would turn out even better. Because and this is something that I have seen, because I was actually talking to some photographers from last night, and they were showing me their work and their pros, and I was looking at their work, and then I'm like,
so they're pros beyond the pros. What level do we call that?
No, they're just pros.
Right.
Because we were shooting the event, and once we sit down and we start talking about can you show me your Instagram page? Show me your work. Or like, this is nice. This is nice. You look at some work that they do, like some others. I'm not talking about everyone, but I had like one in particular.
Right.
I look at his work, and you're charging real money for this work, and I'm like, I have
You
seen,
give him the side eye.
and yeah, exactly. I've seen better from people who have who basically have
How much was?
someone who just
Or-
has a
or
basic
begin-
camera
yeah.
and a lens, and that's it, and you have like the full gear. And that was actually my question, like,
Yeah.
did you charge actual money for that?
By the way, it happens. You guys.
Yeah.
Ukienda huko nje, you have everything, you've established yourself, and you're charging
Yeah.
a good amount of money
Yeah.
for the. Then here comes along someone who is given the same, like your
Yeah.
event is
Yeah.
given the same job, but you ask yourself, alichaguliwa aje? Like, I'm seeing this, it could be personally, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It could be our own way of, because
Yeah.
photographers are like I said,
Yeah.
we are our own worst critic.
Yes.
It can be us ourselves looking at the quality and saying it's bad, but someone else might. But there is that just generally bad photos, bad lighting, terrible stands, it's not positioning the people well.
For me, from what I took from those photos, because they were all for retouching, they had no texture. I'm like, texture is important when you're retouching. Okay, I'm talking about texture because I'm more into portraits, so I know about different details that need to be there. So when you did that photo, it just looks like a wall, like the texture of a wall and that face
In a blend.
is in a blend. They just the same. I'm like, you need to put a lot more work.
Those even just
into
for
that.
the normal seeing eye, the one who is not you can tell there are those people, and you'll find them.
And I will put myself in there. I used to do that until I was told, like, you need to put texture. So I went
the
back.
important thing is you learn.
I
There's some
learned.
people who go with it and they go, and you sit back and you're like, what's the point?
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! It's a learning process.
Yeah.
You keep learning about new things all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, since I started, I couldn't tell you how many times I've gone back to YouTube to ask. I just type how to do this in Photoshop, how to do this. This year, I have done that a couple of times, like
Right.
like how to make a white background and all. I just go and just search for how to do something. So it's a learning process. But there are now those people who feel like they've established themselves. So I don't need to learn anything else. Like,
Yeah.
I'm already at
Yeah.
the top. So there's nothing for me else to be told. So even if I come
Right.
and tell you, you'll be like, unaniambia nini?
Yeah, you just
yes.
wipe it out.
Yeah,
just assume.
yeah. So it's I wouldn't say it's a myth. It's actually something real.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is it's about technical skills.
Uh-huh.
I find that a myth. Like I said before, I'd touch on it.
Yeah.
It's more than just technical skills, which
Yeah.
brings me to schooling.
Yeah.
I went to school
Mm-hmm.
to learn photography. This
Yeah.
is me. I'm
Yeah.
talking about me. I
Mhm.
went to school to learn photography, the basics. Because, like I said before,
Yeah.
my passion was to shoot photos and, get into it as a career. First
Yeah.
of all, I didn't even know what photography I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do photos, so I went to school. That was the only path I knew. From high school, kwenda shule.
Yeah.
So you learn the technical skills. Of course, I did it in a degree level because I understand to get into the technical, you have to do the diploma. But I just touched on the basic technical skills. Then I taught myself 50%, the rest by myself. But as I went on, after I graduated, I discovered that it's not always about technical skills all
Yeah.
the time. It's
Yeah.
about how you market yourself.
Yeah.
It's about how does your social media presence.
Yeah. How do you relate with your
yeah.
clients?
How do you relate? Yes, exactly. How do you relate with
you,
your clients?
You can be taught that.
You can't, and it's in
Yeah.
fact not even taught in schools.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes I tell my the ones who come to me and ask me, the newbies who ask me what do you need.
Client
to get-
relations. That's
Yes,
do you mind if I touch on that
Please do.
a little bit, because I have a real world example?
right. Go ahead.
So this is another photographer. he was with other people in the field, and then after taking the photos in the evening, those other people ask like, can you send me a photo of this and this and this of that day?
Oh.
So you send the photo, and then it is posted, and then the client sees the photo, and then the client comes back to the photographer and asks him,
Yeah.
what are my photos doing on social media? I'm seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
And then akamkelelesha and all of those, and then the photographer went back and told him, by the way, ulinikelelesha, abu apologize. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's something that you should
You
avoid.
you told your client to apologize to you about kukelelesha, and you're the one in the wrong.
So right there,
Eh?
I'm sure he's trying to build back his clientele.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
the client almost dropped him, but since he's good at what he does, he was not dropped. That's what saved him.
Well, he's lucky, I guess. But to be honest, guys,
Yeah.
reputation is very important. It's not always about technical skills.
Yeah.
School, yes, is fine, but you can, like these days, you can learn the skills on the job or
Yeah.
YouTube University.
Yeah.
The most important is your brand. How are you
Branding.
going to market yourself? And a lot of photographers fall out. They start off very well because they are very good in what they do. I am victim to that.
Yes.
I do believe personally I have a good set of skills, but I do admit that I really needed to learn the business side of photography because it is still a business.
Yeah.
And you need to learn how to market yourself properly to people and how to talk to them in a professional way, and in that keeps you can get the clients, but that keeps your business acumen actually keeps the clients.
Very true.
Yeah.
That is so true. Yeah.
So the last point is when a photographer charges a lot of money, they are making a lot of money. Do you want to speak on that?
Can you elaborate on that?
Okay,
Uh-huh.
fine. So I
Uh-huh.
have someone who does weddings, and weddings can go even up to 100K or even 1M for photography,
I've seen
right?
I've seen ridiculous pricings.
Right?
Oh yes.
For photographer. And you look at the photographer, you're just talking to the photographer and he's like, I asked them like, how much are you making in this? And he's like, I'm making like 500K. And I'm like, wow. You imagine now what I can do with 500K,
Yeah.
right? But then again, you have to look at the cost. Is this 500K you're making after taxing? Taxes, sorry,
Yeah.
not taxing,
Yeah.
taxes. Have you paid your taxes? Have you paid your people?
Yeah.
What other things? Food, rent, kila kitu. Is this 500K after you've paid everything?
Am I gross?
Yes. So is
Akakwambia gross?
he told me it was before.
Oh, before.
Yeah.
Okay. So it'll be a bit less.
So it would probably
after.
be. That's why you have to dig in. You can't just be amazed that,
Yeah.
oh God, this person is making 500K. Weddings must, make a lot of
But
money.
is that like 500 from one wedding?
One. These are big clients.
Big client, but you also have to have your name out there. So
You have to have your name. That guy.
Branding is everything.
Yeah. Branding is everything. But that guy, I this was before everything else.
Yeah.
When a photographer charges a lot, it means he makes. That's not always the case. If you're starting off, wedding photography doesn't mean you'd earn the 1M and keep the 1M unless it's afterwards.
Yeah.
It's always about, look at it this way, just like any other business, you have to incur costs, and these costs have to be paid for. So it's not all the time that ukiingia pali unajua you'll earn money, and you're not earning a lot of money because there's a lot of operational costs that you have to
There are so
incur.
there are so many things that you have to break down. Like if you're charging a client for a wedding,
Yeah.
first of all you have to know who this client is,
Yes.
and then you know what you're going to provide for them, what you're going to deliver for them.
Yeah.
That's when now the costs start building up like crazy, because you want to deliver for them like in 4K. I think I told you about that.
Yeah.
That's the next thing
4K
that
is the
we
new
want.
thing.
That's a new thing, and that's
Yeah.
but producing a movie not a movie, but okay, it's basically like producing a movie, because it's cinematography, right? So shooting in 4K, it's going to cost you a lot of money. It's
Yeah.
not cheap. anyone can shoot in 1080, like whichever camera you have, like from back in 2010. You could,
Yeah.
but
Right.
but if you want something that will shoot 4K the whole day, that will be a massive cost. And if the client is willing to pay for that, then you can charge that kind of money. So yeah, so you charge such kind of money and you make such kind of money. So
For sure.
yeah.
But let's not forget the costs too, guys. At the end of the day, you can earn a lot of money, like Dan said, but also remember the costs that you have to incur. And also, a point I have to make is don't try to cut costs in order to get the maximum profit.
Don't.
Because at the end of the day, you're trying to please your client
Yeah.
and you're trying to build your reputation. So just be honest with yourself
Yeah.
and say, you know what, I want to give the best to my client. As much as I know I'd incur the cost, the end result will be so much better for me and my reputation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're having such costs, have also good people with you.
Yeah.
Like, let's say it's a wedding. Don't just have random people that you don't know how their work is, and then so that you have to keep on micromanaging everything that they do. Have people that they don't need to be managed the whole day. So if it's like a wedding, you don't have to go to the video guy and say like, you're not doing this correctly.
Synergy is important.
Oh, like last night,
Right.
there is a photographer who was standing in front of the camera. Even the MC had to tell him, boss kuja hapa. What's your name? In front of the whole amphitheater. Because your face is just been plastered all over the screens because there were huge screens.
Right.
Like oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
You need to know like your presence when you are, like when you have cameras. And so you need to have people that you can work with very, very easily. You don't have to tell them like, let's do this and this and this and this, So
Because at the end of the day, if you're working with a crew, they have to represent your brand, and your brand is important, and they need to understand. They need to separate, personal life with the business life. When you're doing business, it needs to be professional and it needs to be with synergy. Let's just say that.
Yes. Yes, and luckily, like for me, my team took a shoot. I don't even have to tell them anything. It's like we just start in the middle from the morning, middle of the day, just thumbs up. Like Gioni, everything just goes smoothly. Like I don't even have to ask them like, did you do this? Did you do that? I will just see the footage. I'll just see the photos. I'll be like, the work was done, and it was done in a style that I wanted it to be. And can I just say that I want to start doing scripts when we want to shoot a wedding. We want to direct. Like I don't know. I don't know whether it's I'm explaining it exactly as it's in my head.
Or rather directing.
Basically directing. So we don't want to have videography. We want to have cinematographers. And that means that we said at the beginning like that equipment is good, but it's not everything. But equipment ni mzuri.
Yes, like I said, it's not always
Yeah.
Sometimes you need it.
Yeah.
Sometimes unaona tu
Like if you need a drone shot, regardless of how you cut it, if you don't have a drone, you're not going to get that shot.
Is it how much? 93 license?
I don't know, but I think so.
Yeah, it's above. I know it's above 50.
Yeah, but we're thinking about getting those equipment and then having an actual training course for the people that we want to have as full time.
Right.
So we'll have like a 2-day course for training on now shifting from being just a videographer, like you come to the wedding and just shoot like basic shooting to now as if you're shooting a movie.
So you'll be training this.
To use jibs and sliders and all those. So it's
Jibs and sliders. Can you explain to those who might not understand?
so sliders they're basically rails that either could have an inbuilt camera or you can put a camera on it, and then it's especially like for interviews the camera would be moving on its own.
Right.
It's
one of those
it's
things like a trolley sort of like a train type of.
Oh,
Okay, I'm not good in explaining.
I know what you're talking about.
Ah,
That one is
for smooth
it's
movement.
basically a dolly. That's basically a dolly.
Ah, right.
That is for movie
University
production.
teaching. Yes.
And I don't think tumefika hapo.
Tutafika tu. Tutafika.
Yeah, no, but you see a dolly that is very specialized.
Right.
Because that one you can control the set. Well, I want something that it's a set that you can't control, but you're shooting it in a cinematic way. So upon we having our vision for basically the brand that you want to build. So
people should be looking out for that.
they need to be looking out for it. So
Yes.
we want to make maybe a 2-minute
You'll be making
a 2 minute
minutes
ad. Like okay, it won't be like an ad, but it'll be basically
promotion simping.
Yeah, but it'll be basically like shooting a commercial, but for a wedding, for our website and for our social media. Everyone can start a business. Not everyone can run a successful business. Opening a business and making it successful are two different things. You have to ask yourself, what is the special sauce that makes your business stand out from everyone else? Because everyone is like, we shoot weddings and this is the wedding and these are the photos. Anyone can do that. So you ask yourself, what can I do that the client sees and is like, oh, I want that person to shoot my wedding. So happened our vision for our business that's where we want to take our business so that it grows and it can run on its own. We want it to have autonomy in the future.
And I wish you the best of luck in that. I am hoping for that to happen for you very soon. Something different, something fresh. I don't want to take much of your time because I see you looking at your watch.
Yes.
And there's somewhere you need to be. So guys, I think that's it for today.
Thank you for having me on.
I know we've been planning for a while.
Yes.
Thanks for visiting us
This was fun.
and sitting down and talking with me. And as much as we don't agree with some of these myths, I do still believe in them. I still stick to them.
She is going to hang me for those points later on today.
This is my own personal experience, and I collected this, and I really just wanted to share it with people. And I thank you for your input.
Thank you. Okay.
So if anyone wants to get you, where can we find you? So
my Instagram, mostly because that's where I post my work. It's DanShutter.
I will include his handle, our Instagram page at Noz's. Any other place we can get you?
It's mostly on that because we are still building the website.
Okay.
When the website is up and running, I will share it with you. Okay.
This is Noz'spodcast podcast with your host Melissa. I shall see you in the next episode.
Listen.